Oh, yeah, here we go. Another Foodie Friday on the Alive and Social Network with yours truly, BT, and my lovely daughter,
Lydia Turner.
Hello there. Give them the tagline, Lyd. Let's go.
Coming in hot, always fresh, and never stale. Foodie Friday. Get some in your meal.
Get some in your meal already. Enjoy yourself.
Just do it.
Life is meant to be a carnival, a
Enjoy
smorgasbord
it.
for crying out loud.
Like where this is going already.
Yeah, look at the boys in the room. They're hanging out, having a good time already. I can tell by the smirks on their face. Or in the case of Mike Mitchelson, who's the operations guy and marketing guy at St. Agnes Baking, his smirk is a little tired. And we're going to just bring that out right now because it's fumes time for you, Mitchelson. This is our what of the day. What time did you get up today?
I got up, let's see, the alarm went off at 1:30. Got into work at 2.
I just puked a little.
It's not my usual time to do that, but we have some big things going on, and just got to be there and make sure everything's going all right, and everything is, and we're good to go. And I'm a little fatigued, but that's a good problem to have. So.
Now, we keep in the closet here in the Alive and Social Network studios some tools that we use from time to time, and so I hope that shock collar is not uncomfortable at this point. At least just the tightness is what I'm saying. The tightness of it.
No, the rivets, I can't. They're nice and cool right now.
Good. All right. Excellent.
It's good. We're good.
We got the AC pumping.
Exactly. You might hear the
Those
AC
rivets are nice
humming
and
in the
cool.
background. That might be why they're cool. It's all
And
good.
we're all a bunch of mouth breathers.
I'm just saying.
I'm guilty.
You're sitting next to Lydia. Treat her nice because she's got the remote.
Right on.
All right, all is well. And Matt Kenevan's here. Oh, Matt from the Beer Dabbler and the Growler magazine, and he's got other things going on. You got this cooler truck business, the cooler trailers business going on. All things beer with you, Kenevan.
You bet. Mike woke up at 1:30 this morning. I've been up since 1:30 3 weeks ago. So there we are.
Well, with Pride Weekend coming up here, and that's jamming, today and Saturday and Sunday. I mean, these huge events. I mean, they do. You've been burning on fumes yourself, I'm sure, like you said, for the last 3 weeks.
I can't wait until this is over.
Until Monday.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got to imagine they're always a gas. I mean, once you get them going, I mean, they really are fun. You got a great staff. People love the Beer Dabbler and the Minnesota Craft Brews and everything that you guys represent. But all that said, when they're done, just respiration, rest time.
BT, I've been saying for this will be the 4th year, and I've said it this year already. I said, this is my last year doing this event, dealing with 35 food trucks is too much.
Oh my
too much.
God.
It's stressful for everybody involved, and I, my team is awesome, but it takes a toll on them.
Yeah.
And I say it like I can't do it anymore. But then it will be 9 o'clock at the end of the event tonight, and I'll just be standing by Joe, my right hand man, who's been with me for 7 years now.
Like the beginning, yeah.
And we'll look at each other and be like, dude, this is awesome.
See, there you go. Yeah.
So and then we do it again next year.
Yeah.
So
well, the last time we saw you, Lydia and I were judges at Grand Old Day for the food thing that they did, the food judging thing.
It was a tough gig.
Yeah,
it was really
hard.
hard.
Oh God, that was tough.
We had to eat all that food and judge
God.
it and pick which one was our favorite food.
That was tough. But then we ran into you and Joe at your guys' stage at the U.S. Bank parking lot area there, and you had like a human foosball thing set up there or something like that.
Sometimes you got to do stuff like that.
Got to burn off the calories.
That was just awesome, though. I bet people really got into the playing of it too. Just the goofiness of it first off, and then getting in there and just getting your yayas out.
A couple of years ago, we saw somebody on the internet that had this human foosball, and we're like, all right, we got to build that. And I love building things. Like, give me a hammer.
All right, we got to build it.
Give me a nail
then.
gun. Give me a saw. I'm in. Yeah. And like I just didn't have it in me to build this thing and store it. And then the folks from Can Wonderland, they're like, well, I'll build it for you. They call me Canavan. I'll build that for you. And okay, if you want to do that. And then they did it, and then we got it set up, and they wheeled in with this old crappy horse trailer and started
check
unloading.
this out.
I'm like, no, this is going to be interesting. And they got it up, and I'm like, that's awesome.
This is great.
So they store it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's theirs.
Moral of the story: they
Yeah,
store it.
When they open their new location, and whenever it's going to be in a few months, they're going to have a full-time human foosball.
What?
Going on at their
Good.
new location, and they've got this mobile one, so they'll go to events and do that all over the place. So
I want
That's
that. I want to
really
see that at
cool.
like a grad party I want
It
to
would
see
be a cool
that.
grad party.
Solid.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little parched again, so I'm going to crack open one of these. It's not a Minnesota craft brew, but it's a Blue Moon. They're one of our sponsors here at the Alive and Social Network. And for Foodie Friday, it always goes down well.
It does.
Go Big Blue. Go Big Blue. I don't know if that's their catchphrase.
It is
but
Friday.
Go Big Blue. I got to share with you a little snark that happened on the internet just the other day. So I posted, Lydia and I went out for Father's Day, and it was a Minnesota Craft Brews
But
Father's
who's
Day.
Lydia?
My lovely daughter, Lydia.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Lydia from Bauhaus.
Oh.
I heard the story before. I'm like,
What?
We're going to get into
Which
that
Lydia?
story, too.
sorry, I'm ruining your story.
No, that's quite all right. And
dare you.
I'm glad you brought up the other Lydia, who was our guest last week on Foodie Friday, and who maybe in a portent of things to come said on the show, I don't know, man. We're doing this Northwest Market thing
Night market.
and night market, and we sent out 17,000 invitations, and we got 17,000 RSVPs. I don't know what's going to happen.
And what did it end up being?
And it was 22,000.
22,000.
And so anyway, we'll chat about that in just a bit because it was quite a spectacle.
Well,
at
back to your
Bauhaus Brunch.
snark. Back to the snark.
So we go to 612, but the day starts out with Mrs. T out having some fun with a pal of hers, and Cosmo, Lydia's brother, had to work, and so we couldn't hook up with him. And Lyd and I were planning on doing the 612 brew event later in the day, and so I had some dad gardening time to get started, and I'm doing some baskets and other stuff. And yes, it's noon 01 or so. I know it's noon anywhere, so I could have started early. It's Father's Day after all, but I did officially wait till noon something, and I cracked open a nice cool Blue Moon as I'm gardening, and I took a picture of it because, again, Live and Social sponsor, we do things socially, we post things socially. So anyhow, at the radio station where I work, we got the blog pages and such, and at
Yep.
go963mn.com, I posted the story of the day. And some pictures from Lyd and I at 612 and other things. But the first picture was under the headline, Minnesota Craft Brew Father's Day. The first picture was the one of me gardening at the beginning of the day.
With the blue
With the
moon.
blue moon. And so now people are seeing the headline and the picture, not even reading the story. You know this from your background in journalism, Mike. Not even reading the story. And in the very first paragraph, I talk about the setup and that, I'm doing some gardening with a blue moon. And I even said, I know, not a Minnesota craft brew, but they're one of my podcast sponsors.
You're gonna be okay.
And that's how I started my day. And then the rest of the article is all about the craft brew thing. Oh, the internet snark. Oh, the Twitter snark. From some people I knew, some people I didn't. And clearly, they only, looked at the headline and saw the picture, the top picture there.
Was it mean? Was it outwardly mean, or was it like?
No, just snarky.
Okay.
Just, hey man, Blue Moon's a Miller Coors product. It's not a craft brew.
So it wasn't like you're an idiot.
Yeah, well, no, it was implied in the tone of everything that was being typed into those little thumb keypads. Hey, man, I hope you don't get sued for using that picture. With me with a can of Blue Moon, right? I'm going to get sued. But,
Hey, take it easy with your calloused thumbs there,
yeah,
troll.
Exactly. Hey, man, again, not a craft brew. Blah blah blah. And so
Did you show no mercy in your response?
I pinged them all back. No,
Good.
you know what? However, Mike, I'm a friendly guy. I pinged him back with that usual Minnesota passive aggressive that I know so well. So I was at once friendly and called each one of them a dimwit without using the word dimwit.
Bravo.
Did you explain the coriander and the orange peel?
It's very craft brew like you.
Not craft my ass.
Dimwits.
I said orange peel.
Dimwits. So anyhow, I did go in though just to make sure that no further potential snark would happen. I did go into the radio station's website and that blog posting, and I changed the headline because the headline's going to remain and the picture order is going to stay there. So I changed the headline to say Minnesota Craft Brew Father's Day. Parentheses. All right, I started my day with a big label beer. ... or something to that effect, so that I could once again, in that very passive-aggressive way, call any potential future snarkers a dimwit in advance. So,
My
And did you
favorite.
post your correction at the end of the article?
No,
You
no.
should do. Just say this is an update to the earlier posting of the. Okay.
it's a freaking radio station blog
All right.
post, Mike. Don't get all journalism 101 on me.
I just,
Lydia, got the remote? Shot collar. Shot collar. God, watch it, Mitchelson.
Sorry.
You watch it.
I think my favorite way to deal with snarkers, because I work at a tap room and there's a lot of weird snarkers that will pass through at the door. I just call them Bud. It's like, hey, bud, you know what? This is how it's going to be. Because the worst thing you can see is, I'm not your bud. I am not your bud.
They reply with, okay, honey.
Okay, sweetie.
Okay, honey. So this Blue Moon, by the way, is tasting pretty good right now, but I really do love the Minnesota craft brew world. And we had a great day at 612 and saw G.B. Layton perform for a little bit and hung out with my coworker Linnea, so she was down there. And then it's all walking distance. Lydia lives northeast, so we walked there. And then we walked over to Indeed Brewing, where Lyd works. And Tom, her coworker, bought us both a beer there.
Certainly
and
did.
then and then we met some guys there that were getting some food and such, and I said, what did I say that was so weird to the one guy? But whatever it was, I'm a friendly fella, and so I said something to a guy.
You kept saying hello to people on the street. Yeah. We were walking there. You're like, hey, how's it going?
How's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, well, I am fine. How are you? What is that? Are you carrying? Conceal and carry? Hello. I said something weird. I mean, just like really weird. And I had to go to the bathroom. And so I did, and I came back. But it turns out the fella that was with the fella that I just said this weird thing, it's humorous, weird, whatever. Everybody kind of snickered a little bit, but the guy I said it to was like, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable. But the fella that he was with used to intern for me at another radio station. So suddenly I come back, and it's like,
your dad, BT?
Hey, BT, yes, all that crap. And that was good. But then we ended up hanging out with those guys and really had a bond.
It was about the bathrooms. You're like, hey, guys, have you seen the bathrooms in this place yet?
It was. Yeah, you're right. It was.
No, I haven't.
I didn't follow that up with, anybody want to go with me? Because I thought they had overheard what I was saying, yeah.
You're assuming.
Because when it comes to restrooms, bars, tap rooms as we have here, I know this may sound odd as well, but I'm a Biff's first forward kind of guy. I mean, I judge an operation like that, a hospitality operation,
Biff's forward,
by how amenable and how hospitable and how clean the restroom is. I mean, I really think it kind of begins there, especially in a hospitality environment. Some would argue the kitchen, but I argue no. The food service world begins in the bathroom.
It begins and ends.
Yeah, and ends, right.
You're saying you might not have food at the restaurant, but you will piss.
Yes.
Or potty of some sort, exactly. And so let's make that a really nice, nice, clever thing. Like at the Varsity, you've been to the Varsity Theater. They've been praised for those bathrooms upstairs.
Decadent.
And they're just, it's amazing. It's like a Gaudí architectural piece, for crying out loud. All the curves and the tile and everything. Anyhow, we bonded with those guys, and it turned out to be a fun afternoon there.
And we left with a growler on a Sunday.
And
all was well with the
world. Which was
world.
awesome. I know on the course of the show here today, you wanted to bring up some Blue Law stuff, and so let's just dive right into that now that we're on the growler way of thinking. Because Matt, you're from Wisconsin. You grew up in Wisconsin, didn't you? Yeah.
Things, like when you go for a drive in Wisconsin, you have a can holder in your car for a reason.
Yeah, that's why it's there. How about you, Mike? Where did you grow up?
Well, the early years were in Canada, where the drinking age was 19, but you could drink similar to Wisconsin with an adult.
Okay,
not when you're 10. But
there, yeah.
But no, it was booze was just not a big deal. It just when I came down here and all my friends were like, hey, let's sneak off into the woods, man, drink some beer, and I'm like,
why are we sneaking?
I'll just go home.
You wake up the next morning, you have like 70 mosquito bites on you. Oh, dude, last night was awesome.
That was just great.
Was it really awesome?
So what's your take on this? I really want to ask you, Matt, and definitely you too. What is both of your takes on the Blue Laws and not being able to buy alcohol specifically in a liquor store on Sundays in places where that is readily available to you? Is this something this is puritanical, this is not right? Is it actually worth your time? What do you think about it?
I do have some thoughts about it. I'd be numb if I didn't. My thought is for every off-sale liquor license in the state of Minnesota, I think they should all get a ballot, and they should vote if they want on or off sale, or if they want Sunday sales or not. It's not really my choice, or should be up to me. I know I can go on Saturday and buy my beer,
and make sure you do it on Saturday.
And I'm like, that works in my life. I can't tell you one time that I've failed to have beverage on Sunday.
Failed in that mission. Right?
I've got a really cool beer fridge, and it's always full. So So for me, I don't care. But I'm also somebody who owns 5 active businesses, and I do care about things within my businesses. So a lot of my friends are, all about Sunday sales, and I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just like, it's one of those subjects where I don't do that. So let's let those folks who sell and would have to work on Sundays, let them choose. That's how I feel about it.
Mike, I'm not familiar with liquor laws in Canada. What are they presently? Do you know?
Well, it's been a while since I've lived there, so I can't say off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just generally, 19.
Okay.
And you're good to go. And there was, and that's it might have changed to some degree. But yeah, if you were 17, 18 in a restaurant with your parents, and I grew up in Quebec, which was a whole different rules and regulations from the rest of the country, as it still is now. But yeah, it's a different culture up there. Wine was always with dinner. I think I had my first glass of beer, and it was just a little glass. I was 8.
It was a part of the acculturalization.
It was just kind of, and it wasn't like a beer every night. This is a special occasion. Here you go. You can try. You can drink with the rest of the family. And then, of course, my grandfather at 15, when I was 15, took me aside and did get me bombed. And it's like, you got to learn how to do this someday. And, this wedding here is the perfect place to do it. So, but, he taught me how to do it responsibly, stay hydrated, all this stuff. And then, and then I dimly remember at the end of the night saying, and then you have a glass of champagne in the morning. I'm like, what? Then I just woke up the next day face first in the basement. So I was like, all right, I learned. But
Grandpa's got a good hair of the dog going on, man.
He was a maniac. He's from Wales and rugby player, brain damaged, all that. But started his own steel business in the 30s. He was a rough man, but he was a good guy. But yeah, you just learned and learned how to treat it responsibly. I had no issues in high school, no DWIs, no nothing. I mean, it was a different culture. But
do you think with the proliferation of craft beers here and in Portland and on, West Coast, kind of East Coast too, generally in the United States, there's more of a shifting towards craft beers? Do you think we may have a culture like that in Quebec where people are drinking beers or, you get to drink with your parents? Or do you think it'll constantly be this puritanical way of thinking where it's like you cannot drink beer on Sundays, there's no way you could buy it on a Sunday?
That's a tough one. I mean, you still have so many. People's attitudes are obviously loosening up with all the craft breweries coming around, and there's different things to try. But then, you look at a lot of the craft brews now, and you're looking at 7, 8, 9% alcohol, and people are getting, there's some people getting seriously loaded off of 1 or 2 of those too. I mean, it's just that's going to be an interesting thing to see develop. I mean, are we ever going to, as long as the drinking age is 21, are you ever going to develop a culture that's going to be a little more responsible towards alcohol or not have that?
I got to jump in. I just have to jump in.
Please do.
I've been waiting for this opportunity to talk about this. The future is not worrying about drunk drivers. The future is worrying about texting and driving. It is crazy. With this new business, I deliver these trailers all over, and I spend 2 days a week, full days, driving these trailers. Beer trailers,
cold beer trailers,
cold
right?
Beer,
So you lease them out or rent them out on short term to craft brewers or people or anyone that needs to put their kegs in there and serve them at an event they might be having or what have you.
Distributors, weddings, you name it.
You bet.
All these parties. So I'm driving these things around, and I'm just watching cars next to me all day long.
Yeah.
Text. Like,
terrifying.
It is terrifying.
That is what we
That's
should
the word
be,
to use. Yeah.
That is what we should be concerned about, because like 1 in every 5,000 cars are drunk, whereas 1 in every 2 cars are texting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy.
Yeah. So true.
That I totally agree. But on the same token, there's a new restaurant that opened on a certain lake in St. Paul that's right near my house, and I've already seen 2 cars on the bike paths.
Oh my God!
Wow.
So there is that problem, and that's not going away. But I do agree that what am I more worried about, a texter or a drunk driver? A texter by far. I mean, just coming here, it's just amazing how many people are looking down.
Yeah. And will it take, I'm just going to ballpark the years, but will it take about 20 to 25 years of beginning now, which is really the beginning now, of saying this is wrong, and then making it a social meme of sorts that says, so it's something culturally that's shared by everyone, that this is wrong, and then upping the ante on fines and whatever, that this is wrong, because 20, 25 years ago, one more for the road was still a part of our culture, and now, drunk driving or getting behind the wheel in any way intoxicated and deciding not to take a cab is a bad thing, and all these things are far more a part of our culture, but it took a pretty good stretch to get there, and maybe given the technology so fresh and new as it is, it might take us another 20 years to get there, and that's a scary thought. I'm going to use the word Lydia used. That's a terrifying thought, and piggybacking off what you just said, Matt, because you're right. It's one of every 2 drivers out there, and it's really it's wow. It's a wow factor of the highest order.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the I Am Robot drivable cars that drive themselves, so you don't even have to worry about it.
So we can completely dumb down society.
Yes. Just sit back, relax. A robot will take care of it.
Hey, man, did you jack that memory chip of the latest book by Suzanne Collins? She did the Hunger Games. Do you remember those ones? Did you jack that in and read it? Yeah, it was great. It took me 15 seconds. It was awesome.
That's a great book.
All those memories are in my head now, man.
I'm getting sad.
Let's take the robot car out. Okay, let's go. Yeah, let's jack it in. Kevin, how long has this Dabbler thing been going on for you? Like you mentioned some time frames here, but is it 7 years now? Is it longer? Because you were the sales guy in the area here for the Onion magazine, so you both have the publishing thing in the background. Mike, you more from Food Service News, where you were the editor there for many years, and other publications and such. But you on the sales side. And by the way, I miss the Onion. I miss getting you were gone by the time they stopped putting the print one out that I could get for free, and I was always happy to look at the ads and support those businesses because I like print stuff, I like analog stuff, I like records, and so you did that for a while. But how long has it been? 7-8 years now, or something like that?
It's about 8 years.
About 8 years, yeah. Okay. What was the transition like for you? I mean, were you a beer guy that just enjoyed beer and said, I think there's some ways to make a living at this or make a stab at this? Or, how did that shape in your head on the front end, on the beginning of this?
The whole thing started where I started something called Brewing for a Cause. And Brewing for a Cause was a charitable event that I would put on once a quarter at like a bar or a private place.
And were you still working in publishing sales then, in advertising sales?
Yeah.
You still had your regular gig going on then, is what I'm saying?
This was with the Onion.
With the Onion, okay, got it.
And so I was doing that, and once a quarter, and we'd raise money for different charities, and every quarter we'd have a different charity, and I just really enjoyed working with the beer folks, and at that time I met my wife, who worked for Summit Brewing Company, and she was getting me into craft beer. I came from Wisconsin, so my local brewery was not a craft beer, and at that time there was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 craft breweries in the state of Minnesota. So it was a different time.
And where did you come from?
So I was from Wisconsin, obviously.
No, but what city? I mean, what?
Beaver Dam. But then I went to school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
So where I went to college when I was legal drinking age. It was Miller. Miller was my local brewery.
Yeah, they were the big deal. Yeah.
So I was
and the local deal. Yeah.
I was doing these events called Brewing for a Cause, and we were raising $10,000-$15,000 an event, and finally I was just kind of fed up with working for the man, the Onion, and at that time I had a boss who was like, you must wear a fitted shirt, and your shoes need to be this or that, and it just was a different time from literally.
Of all the ironies at the Onion.
My first day at the Onion was crazy. I walk in and there's this lady named Chris Cramner, and she brings me into the office, and she's like, everybody, this is Matt Kinnavan. And so all of a sudden the door opened out of the closet, and this dude walks out, and he had a 6-foot bong, and there was a trail of smoke coming out of him. Like, true story. That was the Onion when I started, and when I left, I was working for the Pioneer Press. Is when it came down to it, they did this acquisition, and it just wasn't what I signed up for, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
And so So I said, like I've been doing these beer events, and it's time for me to do something on my own. And I wanted to bring my dog to work. I wanted to bring my shorts to work every day, and not have someone tell me like, dude, you got to wear these fancy loafers. Like,
I'm just going to say right now that Shell's Brewing Company shirt you've got on, it looks kind of fitted though, which is nice. It's got a nice fitted look to it.
He's grown into
So
it.
there's a little bit of you that still carries through from that asshole you worked with.
You were telling the story of this guy saying you need to wear a fitted shirt. In my mind, he was wearing a suit made entirely of rubber chickens, like saying, you need to class up your act.
Yeah.
We work for the Onion, damn it.
Yeah, right. Of course, because it's the
Fitted
Onion.
shirt at least.
Come on.
yeah.
So you got out. You got the dog in the office with you, and away you went. And the dabbler, the beer dabbler mentality is really a series of events, like the Beer for a Cause thing. I mean, that's how it evolved and started growing then.
Yeah, it started as putting on beer festivals, and then as that grew, I just was like, oh my gosh, there's more to it than putting on beer festivals. As more beer festivals came on, like it's hard work and it's stressful, and it is what it is, I guess. And I always said, like, I want to be more than a dirtbag promoter guy who's just trying to make a quick buck, and I wanted to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so I opened up a craft beer merchandise store, which was phase 2 of the plan. And we sell craft beer shirts and glasses and
swag of all sorts.
A lot of art stuff. A lot of local artists create things for us, and poster artists, and all this stuff. And if you haven't been there, please do come in and say hi. And that was phase 2.
It's the Beer Dabbler store.
It's the Beer Dabbler store, and
in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Then came the magazine, and the magazine is like truly what I love, and what I believe the future is. And everyone said, Print's dead. You're an idiot. What are you doing? Well, it's worked out for us, and we're not getting rich, but I am wearing shorts, and my dog is
still showing up with you to work.
He's in the car right now. Yeah. Don't break my window if it's too hot.
Right. Good for you.
No, I've admired the hell out of that publication, and just
which is called the Growler.
Which is called the Growler, and just how you've done it. I mean, you've done it differently than publications. I mean, the trend toward it, and what I did at Food Service News, and was you have a publication that you're trying to grab audience, you're trying to get people to read it, and one way to do that is an event. I mean, you did it in reverse, but I think you see all publications now are trying to do basically what you're doing. I mean, look at Minnesota Monthly with their various events, and then of course what we did with Food Service News. I mean, it's just it's different, obviously, an event and a publication, but it's the same. You're trying to do something for an audience and attract an audience for a particular subject, and you're just doing a great job at reading the magazine. So,
thank you.
The cover artwork that is always featured from illustrator D. Witt is always great, always spot on. Yeah. I'm really a big fan of his illustration work, and and I like it that he's not only a really good artist, but he's a prodigious artist, and by that I mean he's constantly churning a lot of cool stuff, and I like that. I like that about him.
Let me share with you how a little story about D. Witt. D. Witt, awesome guy. I was working in Cocoa at the time in St. Paul, and Cocoa was like an office share type thing. And so someone says, like, you got to meet this DeWitt guy. And so next thing you know, like, this DeWitt guy comes in, and we talk. He gives some prices, like, he's a good artist, whatever. And then at the end, like, we exchange phone numbers, and I'm like, dude, that is my phone number, except he is the 651 version of my 612 version.
Wow.
So he's my phone doppelganger. And there absolutely is no reason why we're not going to be best friends and do this thing together. So we have.
And a bromance started.
It's like some larger force drew us together. And this 2 weeks ago, I'm not even kidding you, I just met my Duluth phone doppelganger.
What? The 218?
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Like, now, and there's 3 people that know each other who, like, weren't set up on a blind date. We're just like, here, we're doing business. And all of a sudden, like, here's our phone numbers.
Here's my phone number.
What? You're 218 and I'm 612? Yeah.
And this person, your Duluth doppelganger, you are doing business together then? It's sort of, it was a business connection that...
It definitely was a business connection.
Wow.
Like this person, it was a reference by somebody else. And I called this reference to, check on this other person that I'm going to do business with. And next thing you know, we literally talked for 2 hours on the phone.
Jeez.
I'm like, I got to go. 2 hours.
I got other stuff I got to do.
Like,
I really
no,
do.
Like, I got to pee.
So I got to go too. Yeah. That's really cool.
Is it like talking to yourself in a weird way?
She sounded a little different than me.
Okay.
She did. Yeah, that's great.
It's fair.
D. Witt's work, going back to the Beer Dabbler store, will we see like some of his stuff there? I mean, like old, covers or just illustrations or just some of his stuff that he turns out in general?
Absolutely.
Cool.
He sells posters through our store, and if you come to the store, he's got an 80-foot mural on the side of my building, so you're going to see some of his larger work, and anything that he does, I want to promote and help out in any way. Like he's been a fantastic part of the Growler magazine, and hopefully he's going to be a huge part for the future.
He's kind of like in my mind's eye, he's kind of like Ralph Steadman as it related to Hunter Thompson's works or publications, or when articles that Hunter wrote were in Rolling Stone. Steadman was always illustrating just those pieces, those Hunter pieces, and so I associate DeWitt's works and his illustrations with the Growler in that same very heartfelt and connective way. And I see them inseparable at this point in my mind's eye. So keep the relationship strong with your doppelganger and your artist.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I'll be very disappointed in both of you.
Like once a year, he comes back and he wants to renegotiate his terms, and understandable. He is horrible at negotiating his terms. Like, Dave, I love you if you're out there, but no, he's fantastic, and what he's great at is creating and drawing, and like putting on a shirt or a piece of paper. Like, he does what we need him to do.
Yeah. Good man indeed. Mike, I want to ask you because you got up at 2, or did you get up at did you start work at 2?
1:30.
I got into the bakery at 2.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Because it's a big new project. I mean, so St. Agnes Baking Company, Klecko, the CEO, has been on our show too. Great guest, and you've, I might add, proven to be an equally adept and wonderful guest. And so what I'm saying at this point is, Lydia, at some opportunity, please, you may remove the shock collar, because I think
we'll see.
Well, all right, I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you. However, I feel that Mike has stepped forward in a non-sleepy or drowsy way, which is what we were most concerned about in the first place, because he's been up since 1:30. And secondly, as a disciplinary tool, I felt that we might be able to use it or need it in that regard. But I feel that the tide has, whatever was in my mind, has turned, and I don't think we're going to have. There you go. I don't think we're having any problems. Is what I'm saying.
Your words have been heard. The message was received.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
But again, my lovely co-host and daughter, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay.
Unless I want to take the caller off.
How's
But
it feel?
just for safety's sake, keep the remote close at hand. New projects come along the way for a commercial baker like you guys are all the time, because that's what you do. You bake in a big location, and you push your products out into commercial sites. You don't have a storefront, so to speak. You're not that kind of. You don't have where a series of storefronts come to the St. Agnes Baking Company storefront in Woodbury. Visit us here. Visit us. That's not what you do. You push things into the commercial world, and so you get new contracts and stuff. That can be a big ass deal. And so that would tell us about this airport one that's going on.
Well,
that seems like a big-ass deal.
Yeah, I mean, and these are just some of the things that we've been doing over the last, year and a half, is just really, basically just buckling down and really working on keeping our product consistent and just getting it out there. And we're just getting a lot of our business is coming from inbounds. And
what does that mean, inbounds?
Just people calling up and saying they want to change. And I think that has to do with the economy as well. I mean, we're not... we're not an organic bakery, but we don't use preservatives. We don't do anything like that. We don't bake crap, basically. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing a lot of customers that just want to upgrade what they're doing. I think a lot of that is just economic. But yeah, so we get a call from OTG out in New York, and they run the Delta Concourse, the out at MSB Airport.
That's a big food service out there.
And so, I mean, it was that simple. Within a phone call, a week later, the New York person comes in. We have a bunch of samples. And the local guy comes in who, turns out to be a local guy, Lenny Russo's former chef de cuisine when he was up at the St. Clair location.
Got it, yeah.
So there's a little connection there.
Sure.
And, but, he likes the product, and they're looking to do something different. They haven't had, they weren't satisfied with what their current vendor was supplying them. And they pulled the trigger on us, and away we go. And so this last week, it's just been all hands on deck, and everybody's just pounding away. And, overnight, it's, we're suddenly have 10 more restaurants, or 11 in total, including a food court and a cafe.
Wow.
And so, and that, when the math is all done, that can bump our business up 15%.
That's a huge percentage.
So,
yeah, that's a big deal.
It's somewhat of a risk, but not so much that I was uncomfortable with it, because our production is, we have a great experienced group of bakers back there, and we can handle it. We're struggling like any other business right now, a hospitality business, trying to find workers, and so we're doing as much of that as we can. But we're humping it right now. But we're just going to make sure we do it right, and so that's one reason I was up when I was, and in Klecko, even the first week of delivering to the airport, he was in the truck taking it down there, and we had to have it on the dock at 3 a.m.
Yep.
And he was our guy that was badged, so he had to do it until we got everything caught up with our delivery department.
Did they search your pat you down and?
I think they did do a cavity search on him.
And the odd part is he generally requests.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, he stops anywhere. He drops his pants. I'm not sure.
It's an odd thing also for the potential future. No, I'm not going to use the
No,
word
don't
potential.
say
Thank you for the future mayor of St. Paul.
There it
so I
is.
think some habits are going to need to change,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So you can't
Suspenders.
bake in a knife within a hot dog bun or anything like that, and then they have to X-ray the hot dog bun.
No.
You watch too many movies, Matt.
Or you're reading about the prison break in New York. The files.
You put a whole sawzall in that mustard loaf. Wow. How did they do that?
Well, the Pullman loaves, the Pullman pans, they're
pretty sizable.
Yeah, you can get something in there.
Pretty sizable. So it's all hands on deck for the crew, and for you as an operations guy and marketing guy, you're probably leaning a little more operations right now. I mean, you really got to keep an eye on production schedules and people and all of that kind of stuff.
That's really been my focus. Really, the last year is just organizing that piece of it. Because even with the opportunity like this, just looking at labor, obviously we're running a lot of overtime. This isn't just pure profit. We're probably, honestly, we're probably breaking even right now, just with all the overtime we're going to run and just getting things straightened away. We had to, fiddle around with delivery. We're working with finding a contract with a delivery service actually to get us going. So that cuts into our margin a little bit, but the math is good.
And the cash flow is looking good, obviously, because you got that additional business. That's great.
But as I keep telling the owner of the company, and most business owners out there, cash flow does not equal profit.
Well, and justifiably so.
But it's really wonderful. But then on top of that, you've got eggs going up from $1.18 in February a pound to $2.85.
Yep, big time.
And
Wow.
our flour in the last 6 weeks, our flour's gone up 6 cents a pound.
All
I
those
get
are margin
all that.
hits.
I've got
Those
to
are cuts.
redo that and factor it all in, make sure everything's priced properly. I mean, it's just been a constant thing. So with the commodities as volatile as it is, it's a great opportunity, but there's a lot to watch.
Does the St. Agnes owner sound Schwarzenegger-esque as you did in doing that? Don't you know? Cash flow does not equal profit.
He's a great man. Gary Sandy is,
I've met Gary before. He's a good person.
Yeah, very good man, very involved with his community. He stepped back from the company in 2007, but he still comes by the bakery and takes a look at things and offers his advice. He's a good guy to look at the reports, and so it's a good relationship we have there.
Mitchelson, keep an eye on the bottom line, Mitchelson.
Yes. No, he's more Norwegian, so I don't know how assertive that would sound, but I can't even do that.
Let's just go with the one I was doing.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll just go with that. I think it's time for the Foodie Friday 5, Lid. I think it's about time for the 5.
The Fev.
The 5. Now, generally speaking, we ask the same 5 questions from our guests every week. However, as we had a double beer week last week with Lydia Haynes from Bauhaus Brew Labs and Dan Schwartz from Liftbridge Brewing,
What's up, Lid?
we crafted some brew questions to go alongside that double beer factor. Not to say we haven't had beer people on before, but we had 2 of them on the same show. And so we have mostly food questions when it comes to the Foodie Friday 5. We adapted beer ones for last week, and so now we've got sort of a split ticket. So what we're going to do is Lydia is going to ask the Foodie Friday 5 beer-oriented questions of Matt Kennevan of the Beer Dabbler and the Growler, and 3 other very active businesses, for God's sake, and a dog that comes with him to work. And then Mike Mitchelson, former editor at Food Service News, and now still in the food aspect of the industry with his work as marketing and operations guy at St. Agnes Baking Company, where Gary is the CEO and owner. No, not CEO, that's Klecko, but you get it. So I'm a little more food-oriented to Mike. So the Foodie Friday 5 has it's a double-header sort of thing going on here today. Do you want to start with Matt first with your first question then? Shall we go?
Sure.
All right.
Matt, what's the first beer you ever tried?
Yes. Yes, that's the... no, I think it was...
Yes.
It was Yes Brand
Yes
Beer.
Beer.
I was in the basement of Rolando Rivera's house. Oh, I was in the basement of Rolando Rivera's house, and we somehow scored a case of Busch Light.
Busch Light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Busch Light. That's sort of the Howenstein of my youth right there. Sort of, similar.
There's a lot,
3 cases for $9.99, that
Mickey's
sort of deal.
Big Mouth.
Yeah,
too.
the Mickey's too.
A lot
Yeah.
of it. A lot of that.
Oh,
Should we
nice.
ask Mike? Mike, what's the first beer you ever tried?
Molson, of course. It's
Mol-
either
yeah,
Molson or Labatt
There
up
you go.
in
Yeah.
Canada, but
There you
my
go.
grandpa
Not
was
the-
a
not the
Molson
cuckoo
man.
juice?
No, not the cuckoo.
I see where you're going with this, Lid, and I think you know what, we're on a good vibe here.
We might as
We're going
well.
to ask the same. You're going to ask beer
Okay.
questions of both. I'll ask food questions of both.
I
like
like
what
it.
this is going at. Matt Kennevan, what's the first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook?
Oh, easy. Spaghetti and meatballs, Chef Boyardee.
Out of the can. Okay,
out of the
now take it to the next level. Let me ask you that you had to make.
I was big at a very young age into making cake.
Okay, good, very
What?
good, cool.
Yellow cake, chocolate,
Yep.
frosty.
Out
I
of
did
the
it a lot.
box, but or did you make it from scratch?
No, it was out of the box.
But
Does
still,
that-
you
does
had
that
to-
count?
Yeah,
Yep.
because you had to, you didn't just pull it out of a can.
Yeah.
Even with the box, you still had to add the
An egg.
and you had to do this, and you had to mix it and stuff. So that'll work. Mike Mitchelson, the first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook.
Oh, it's got to be eggs. I'm trying to remember if that was scrambled or fried.
We hear that
I'd
answer
have
a
to
lot.
say. So
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
that was the easy thing, and learn how to work on the stove.
Yep, right on. Lid.
Matt, which person in your life taught you the most about beer?
No, my wife.
Hands down.
Hands down.
No,
Yeah,
no
Jeannie, when she was
competition.
working from
Summit?
the time working at Summit and stuff. or-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, my wife.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have the same sort of angle on this question for Mike, so I'll just
Nor
go.
should- we shouldn't.
Yep. So I'm just going to go straight to Mike. And which person, Mike, in your life taught you the most about food?
The most about food, probably my grandmother, just watching her. And she cooked these fantastic family meals up in Canada.
Yeah.
And legs of lamb, and they had a huge garden out in the back, where
Fresh veggies,
fresh
and herbs
veggies, and I
stuff.
just
Yeah.
remember
Ah.
all the squash blossoms creeping through the yard and all that stuff. And so, just watching her, that developed my interest in wanting to cook at a very young
Food,
age.
yeah, neat grandma factor. Again, we've heard the grandma factor. Mom and grandmas tend to come out on top with this question with food, don't they? Though
They
they
do.
really do.
They do.
Absolutely. All right, Lid.
No, it's your question next.
Oh, no. We're not gonna split it here. We're moving right on to 3.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel that asking Mike the question which person in your life taught you the most about beer was as solid. But
I already answered it with my grandfather teaching me how to
exactly. That's right. So let's go on to 3.
Cool. Matt, what is your favorite bar close food?
Well, I am, I'd say 37, 36, somewhere in there. I don't close bars. I don't know.
But after you get home from
At 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, there you go. Yeah, nope. Then you're right. That your answer is valid. I totally get where you're going. I think that's a good question for Mike Mitchell.
Well,
Mike Mitchelson, too.
how early are you getting up, Mike? Every day, usually.
I mean, usually.
Are you there for bar close?
Usually on banker's hours,
Okay.
but
Okay.
Lately, it's the early morning. But no, it's been a while since I've closed the bar. I got a 2.5-year-old at home, but. When I used to live just down the road from Moscow on the Hill, I got in trouble kind of a lot at that joint, and there'd be pierogies and all this other stuff going around, and that was pretty good with the late night vodka flights going out the door.
Yeah.
So I could walk
so
home.
good.
Oh yeah.
Indeed. Okay. Here's my question number 3. I think it works for both of them. Matt Kenovan, the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest. Just the smell alone.
Popcorn, maybe.
All right, good. Matt, popcorn will work with butter or not?
Well, I am a
Just
butter guy.
A butter guy?
Yeah.
Do you smell the butter too? Does that add a layer of hungry?
My wife, she likes to push the healthy stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, don't try to trick me with that.
Don't try to.
I'm not.
Butter
buying,
sub-
Oh, no.
I am not buying into that.
You and your butter substitute. Mike Mitchelson, the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest. The smell.
The smell. If I just walk by anywhere where there's an exhaust fan and I smell garlic sautéing in a pan, I just go nuts.
Good
That's it.
answer.
Yeah.
Matt Kenovan, what's your favorite cheap beer?
My favorite cheap beer. This is a tough one. I would say if I'm ice fishing and I am going to have a cheap beer, it's probably going to be Coors Light.
Solid.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have a favorite cheap beer?
I won't say it's a favorite, but drinkable. Drinkable is Miller. My favorite cheap beer was Huber when I lived in Chicago. That was sort of a local brew, but
Yep,
we
the
used
Hubers.
to pound those for 85 cents a bottle in grad school, shouting at people reading poetry.
You pretentious son of a...
That was about it.
Yeah, there
and
you
then
go.
maybe get kicked out. And
You need another Huber, man? Yeah, I do. Question number 4. Matt Kenovan, what's your guilty pleasure food?
Every Saturday morning, we have French toast, and on the French toast, I first coat it with syrup,
Okay.
and then I put a lot of powdered sugar on top of it, so you can't even tell there's syrup on there.
Ooh.
And it is amazing.
Wow.
Sugar toast.
We're going to have to turn you on to Executive Chef Brian Turner. Yes, there are more than one of us. Executive Chef at the Loon Cafe for many, many years. He makes a Captain Crunch French toast.
Oh, my God.
And
amazing.
everything about it, and then the Captain Crunch coating that goes on the outer, and then you cook it, and then the maple syrup, and then you can put as much sugar on it as you want. But the Captain Crunchy thing, I think we're going to need to turn you on to that recipe for
like
sure.
it.
Yep, we're going to make sure you know about that one. Mike Mitchelson, what's your guilty pleasure food?
I think I just had it over the weekend with the in-laws in town. My wife's mother makes this ice cream cake, and Cool Whip generally freaks me out. I mean, it just it's just
It's like
some sort of
leisure suits that have been reprocessed into a whipped dessert
with
dressing.
high fructose corn syrup, and I look at a tub of that, and I'm like, that's not going in me. And but she does this ice cream cake, and it's layered with the Oreo crust and a vanilla ice cream, and then some sort of chocolate sauce thing that's equally bad and probably toxic to your arteries and everything else in your
Clogging it
liver. And then she tops it with Cool Whip, throws it in the freezer, and I ate half the freaking thing. I was just like, I can't stop. That was a Father's Day treat, so I was like, man,
I like it.
So
There it
question
is.
5 may be in line with this.
Yep, and we both have the same question
Yep.
5. So, Lyd, you're just going to ask it both of these fellas.
Mike, what is your hangover food?
Favorite one.
Favorite hangover food.
my favorite.
Is it ice cream cake?
No.
I need ice cream stat.
No,
Gotta have runny eggs.
Eggs are a good hangover food. Wow, that's a good question. I just, I try to avoid the hangover because I just hate it. But I would have to say, something, heavy on the protein side. Like, we did a little drinking this weekend, and I had smoked up a whole bunch of pork shoulder during the day. And so the next morning, I kind of combined all that with a big mess of stuff, and that was good.
Gotcha.
Pork heavy, I think, for hangover.
Yeah, there you go. Protein
Salty
heavy.
protein.
Yep. And given the question, and I think you answered the narrative nicely, but it can be a what is or was your. So what is or was,
Fair.
especially given Kennevin's turning in at 9:00.
BT, you're mistaken. You are absolutely mistaken.
I'm happy to have been called out at this moment.
That doesn't mean I don't get hangovers.
Is there a beer dabbler hangover? Is there a different level of hangover that comes with a beer dabbler?
We're at DEFCON 5, ladies and gentlemen. Bring the bogeys out of the bullpen. We're at DEFCON 5.
He's doing Moscow
I can say
mules.
I don't drink at the beer dabblers, so I don't get hungover after.
Yeah, it's a work thing. You can't. Yeah,
so,
you got to work.
So that's not my jam. But I can say that as I hit 30 and progressed older from 30, my hangovers, like I can look at a can of beer and then be like hungover the next day. So do I do it? Absolutely. I do love beer. So I get hungover and I just might be getting up at 5 a.m. because I'm so hungover, and what my food is, I don't use food for my hangover help. I know this. I would say I'll drink a Coca-Cola before 10 a.m.
Got it.
That's
because the
my
sugar
Coke
thing.
classic.
I don't know why. It just,
Carbonation, sugar. Well, and water too. It's got some hydration in there.
it doesn't help. Nothing helps. But I do know I'm finding myself drinking Coca-Cola before.
Yeah.
Were you enabling Coca-Cola drinking? It's water. There's water in there.
I just said that. That's all I said was that there was water in there. Yeah. not that it was water. Laddie, may I suggest an old Welsh grandfather's trick? Champagne.
Yeah, champagne.
Champagne.
That's right.
May I do that on behalf of Welsh grandfathers everywhere? May I do that? Give that one a go next time.
The Canadians know.
Trade out that Coca-Cola for some champagne. Just something. It's always important to keep a bottle of bubbly in the fridge. You never know when special occasions will arise, or as we've learned from the wine men and women that have visited us on this show, damn it, people should be drinking more champagne as a regular
Agreed.
affair.
Absolutely.
Just
Yep.
regularly. Everybody in this culture, in this country tends to just, well, we got to save that for the birthday party, or it's not New Year's yet.
It's Tuesday.
And right. And then Bill Coy comes by and he goes, "Shoot, you should be drinking that now," or whatever wine guy or wine woman we've had on the show. Yeah, drink more of that champagne. Quaff it with your craft beers. Get on that.
Cook with it wherever a dry wine is called for, too. Good stuff.
Ooh.
Absolutely, you're darn right. Very good stuff.
Ice cream cake would be good with some champagne.
I did actually have some Prosecco with that.
With that Cool Whip and drizzled confection there.
Kind of help break up the mass.
Kind of
Do your work.
like an ice pick on a lake in springtime. Just bust that stuff up a little bit there, and just kind of move it around. It'll melt faster. So Pride this weekend, lots of beer dabbler stuff going on there. Matt Kennevin
Tonight.
Pride tonight.
Tonight, yeah, indeed, tonight, and across the weekend. The whole thing is Pride is all weekend. The parade's on Sunday. The GLBT parade is on Sunday.
I'll be in the parade with my big fancy truck.
Oh yeah. No,
With the red one?
Okay. I know this may be hitting a nerve by me be asking you about this truck, but give us the quick, minute-long story on the truck, because it's a classic old truck. You found it was all banged up, and you spent your child's college fund, your fortune on restoring this thing. I know that's why I didn't mean to hurt you by asking this question.
Yeah, it's a 1959 DIVCO. Stands for Detroit International Vehicle Company. And these trucks used to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And it had the refrigeration system inside the truck. And they block froze it. So at night they would drive these trucks into a freezer, and then the whole thing inside would freeze.
Wow.
And then throughout the day, as the day went on, it would melt inside and just drip all over the truck. So they all rusted out from the inside out. Well, when I found this truck from one of my friends in the middle, it was at his uncle's farm or something in Watertown, Minnesota. He's like, "You got to have this truck." It had the Ham's beer sign painted on the outside, and it was just it was screaming my name. So I'm like, "Yeah, I got to have it." So I went with a pocket full of cash, and I went down there, and I'm like, "I got to have this truck," and so I'm like, "I'll give you X amount of dollars," and the guy's like, "Okay." And I'm like, oh shit, what do I do with this? What do I do with this now? Like, where do I put it? How do I get it back? Like, I didn't think he was going to take it. I didn't really, think I was going to buy it. So I got it. Got this truck back to town and rented the U-Haul trailer, and it was the jankiest load of a trailer you'd ever saw. And before I got back to town, some guy offers me $4,000 more than what I just paid for it, and I'm like, yeah, no, not my Ham's beer truck.
now that you own it, no,
I'm not gonna do that. So I get it in my driveway. I'm like, oh crap, this thing is in my driveway,
and Jeannie's going to get really pissed off.
No,
she was good.
She loved it.
Okay, good.
Okay,
cool.
It. So it's in my driveway, and she goes out there and starts taking pictures, and so she sends them to American Restoration, the TV show.
Love that show.
Yeah, without letting me know, she just sends them to him, and next thing you know, this person calls me and like, we want your truck to be the season finale of American Restoration, and I'm like, yes, I'm in, and he goes, well, we're gonna have to do an estimate. And so
you're thinking, yes, they're going to pay for it. No.
Okay, an estimate, like to ship it out there or what? No, it was
to restore it.
To do the whole thing. Yeah. And the guy came back with this high price, like my business is nothing at this time. And he came back and he's like, you got to pay this. And I'm like, what? You're crazy. And so I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That's just stupid. And so I took it to this guy in Fridley, and I'm like, hey, how much can you do this for? Like, let's get this thing done. And he's like, yeah, I can do it for like, it was half the price. So I'm like, yeah, I got one over on you, American Restoration. And so like within 4 weeks, and I'm not even joking you, 4 weeks, my budget was blown, like the whole thing. And it looked like someone just took a sandblaster to it. So like they didn't do any work. They were just like cutting chunks of metal out and replacing chunks of metal. And it was like one of those things, after you stuck a large chunk of money into it, what do you do? Like you can't just throw it away because you just stuck a large chunk of money into it.
Got to keep going.
So it's like the movie The Money Pit. And so I'm like, all right, I'll keep going with it. And we kept going, and it didn't start to be like a show truck. It was like, you got to make this thing run. And then next thing you know, I have a 454 big block in it, and it can probably pop a wheelie, like no big deal. And this truck just blew up, and it took 3 years, and it like. It took a lot of money, embarrassingly a lot of money, and it was just one of those things. You can only go one direction, and that's forward. And now it's more or less done. Like literally today, it's still in the shop. But
it's a labor of love in part, and it's a good. It's a hell of a branding tool. It's a centerpiece branding tool.
There's no one that like just looks past it and be like, oh, I didn't care.
Yeah, whatever. No,
cherry red and sparkly.
With beer taps on both sides, running, and all functional. All functional. Fully functional. Yeah.
20 of my best friends are riding along with me at all times.
Yeah. Every one of those rascals could be a pole right there.
So, it's more or less done. Like we're just tweaking things like the brakes and
right. Like any old vehicle that you'd restore and play with. So
I believe when I pick it up, here in a few minutes, that it's going to be like awesome and ready to go and safe to drive. Whereas last week it wasn't safe to drive.
Right. Wasn't so very safe. Well, we better wrap things up and let you get off to Pride this weekend. We'll look at the Beer Dabbler event August 15th at CHS Field.
It's going to be awesome.
Beautiful new Saints Stadium. Where out in left field, you can visit the Beer Dabbler site that you guys got out there. Got the polls out there. So anyhow, just a lot of good things in the future. The Beer Dabbler and the Growler and everything else. And Mike Mitchelson, this whole Delta thing. The concourse there. 9-10 restaurants added there. More great contracts like that. Hopefully, becoming St. Agnes Baking Company's way. If folks don't know from Klecko's visit from some months ago, St. Agnes pushes their product out into pretty much all your favorite restaurants.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much all your favorite restaurants.
Yep, and you can find the sourdoughs and stuff at the co-ops around town. We're in the Wedge and all that. So if you want to try it in your house, there you go.
You're getting a great burger somewhere, or you're getting a sandwich somewhere, or you're getting some French toast somewhere, or what?
It's probably St.
Agnes Baking Company supplying that great bread. So, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Lydia, shock collar can definitely come off now. We're closing out the show.
Kind of like it.
It just got a little creepy. Now he kind of likes it. Well, hit him with the zapper one more time before we go then.
You're listening to Foodie Friday, coming in hot. Always fresh, never stale. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.